Village girl saved injured pilot, unaware he's a billionaire CEO, he loved and married her. The rain came down in sheets, blurring the edges of the lush green hills that rolled endlessly across the countryside. Somewhere in the distance, a loud, unnatural boom split the air. Birds scattered. Goats bleated. And in the small, forgotten village of Bandipur, nestled at the base of the Himalayan foothills, 19-year-old Mira dropped her water pail, heart pounding. She looked up toward the smoke curling into the sky beyond the rice paddies. A plane. It had crashed. Here. In the middle of nowhere. Mira didn't hesitate. She didn't wait for the elders to give her permission, nor did she think of the storm. Barefoot, with nothing but the hem of her simple cotton kurta dragging through the mud, she sprinted toward the smoke. Her heart galloped, not out of fear but an instinct stronger than anything she had ever felt before. A man needed help. When she reached the twisted wreckage, her breath caught in her throat. The small private jet had clipped the edge of the forest. Flames licked one wing, but the cabin had somehow survived mostly intact. A man lay just outside the shattered fuselage, crumpled in the mud, unconscious but alive. Blood matted his sandy hair. His arm bent at an unnatural angle. He was badly hurt. Without a second thought, Mira knelt beside him, brushing debris from his face. "Can you hear me?" she whispered, gently tapping his cheek. No response. Mira ran back to the village, breathless and drenched. She rallied the help of her younger brother and two friends. Together, they carried the man to her family's hut, rough, humble, but dry. Her mother gasped at the sight of him but quickly helped gather cloth and boil water. They cleaned his wounds, set his arm as best as they could, and kept him warm through the night. It was 3 days before he awoke. He blinked against the dim light filtering through the thatched roof and saw Mira dozing on a woven mat beside him, her head resting on a folded cloth. Her face, calm and streaked with dried mud, was the first sight that greeted him in consciousness. "You're safe," she said softly when he stirred. "Where am I?" he rasped. "You crashed near our village. We found you. You're okay now." He tried to sit up but groaned in pain. "Don't move. You broke your arm and hit your head hard. But you're lucky to be alive," she added with a smile. He studied her for a moment, eyes flickering with confusion. "My name's Daniel," he murmured. "Daniel Carter." She nodded. "I'm Mira." He wanted to say more, but exhaustion claimed him once again. Days turned into weeks. Daniel's injuries healed slowly. He stayed in Mira's family hut, grateful but restless. The villagers had little, yet they shared everything with him. He ate from clay bowls, bathed in the river, and slept on straw mats. There was no internet, no phones, no way to contact the outside world. Monsoon storms had washed out the only road in. But amidst the silence, something stirred in Daniel. A kind of peace he hadn't known existed. The village, untouched by greed or rush, functioned on kindness and necessity. Children ran barefoot with laughter. Elders told stories by the fire. And Mira, brilliant, compassionate Mira, moved among them like a light. She showed him how to make rice wine from fermented mangoes. Taught him how to harvest wild honey without getting stung. They walked the hills at dusk, where the world turned golden and quiet. She asked little of him, never pried, never asked about the ring on his finger, the watch he wore, or the way he sometimes stared into the distance as if searching for something long lost. She didn't know he was the CEO of Carter Aerotech, one of the largest private aviation companies in the world. She didn't know the jet he crashed in was worth more than her entire village. Or that he had been running from a boardroom war, heartbroken and disillusioned after being betrayed by his own brother. To Mira, he was just Daniel. A man with a broken arm and a kind heart. And for the first time in years, that was enough. One night, the villagers gathered to celebrate the Festival of Lights. Mira wore a deep blue sari, borrowed from her mother, and a string of wildflowers in her hair. She looked radiant beneath the soft glow of lanterns. Daniel, still limping, stood beside her, watching the children dance. "You've changed," Mira said quietly, her gaze on the flames. Daniel smiled. "I think I've finally come home." She looked at him, startled. "But, you don't belong here." "I used to think I belonged in skyscrapers and stock tickers," he said. "But none of that matters now." Mira frowned, unsure what he meant. Just then, the distant whir of chopper blades sliced through the night. Daniel stiffened. He knew that sound. Minutes later, searchlights swept the village. A rescue team descended, shouting his name. His name, not just Daniel, but Mr. Carter. Mira's eyes widened. Her breath caught. He turned to her, guilt spreading across his face. "I didn't lie," he said softly. "I just didn't tell you everything." The rescue team surrounded him. They brought satellite phones, medical teams, and offers of helicopters. Daniel looked back at Mira, heart torn. "I don't want to go," he whispered. "But you have to," she said, voice steady but eyes glistening. "Your world is calling you back." Back in New York, Daniel Carter was a legend reborn. His survival was splashed across every headline: billionaire CEO rescued from Himalayas after crash. Investors wept tears of joy. The boardroom wars stopped. His brother stepped down. His company's stock soared. But Daniel felt hollow. The suits. The noise. The emptiness. He couldn't stop thinking about the village. About the quiet dignity of a girl who had no idea she had saved the life of a man who could buy a country. About how she had fed him before feeding herself. About the way she had smiled, never asking for anything. He sent a team back with supplies, medical kits, solar panels, clean water filters. But he didn't go. Not yet. It wasn't enough. Weeks passed. He stood before investors, ran meetings, cut billion-dollar deals, but his heart remained somewhere between the hills and a girl in a blue sari. Then, one morning, he walked out of a board meeting and never returned. When Mira saw the figure walking up the dirt path, silhouetted against the sun, her breath stopped. He looked the same, yet different. In jeans and a cotton shirt, no watch, no sunglasses. Just a man, walking with his heart in his hands. She dropped the water jug again. "I'm sorry," he said, stopping before her. "For not telling you the truth. For leaving like that. For taking so long to come back." Her lips trembled. "Why are you here?" Daniel pulled something from his pocket. A small ring, delicate and simple. "I came back for the only thing that ever made me feel human again." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "But, we're so different," she whispered. Daniel smiled. "Not where it matters." Behind them, the villagers watched in awe as the strange man who once fell from the sky knelt before their girl in the mud. "I love you, Mira. Not because you saved me, but because you saw me when no one else did." She reached out, lifting him gently. "And I love you, not because of who you are, but because of who you are here." Their wedding was held beneath the banyan tree. No diamonds. No fanfare. Just flowers, music, and a sky full of stars. Mira wore her mother's sari. Daniel wore the smile he had forgotten he had. Later, he would build a school in the village. Fund a hospital. Give every home electricity and clean water. But he never took her away from the hills. Because that was where her heart lived, and where he had found his own. Years later, tourists passing through Bandipur would hear stories of the girl who saved a man from the wreckage. How he turned out to be a billionaire. How he married her, changed their world, and never asked for thanks. They'd point to the modest house on the hill, where two children played outside while their parents tended a small garden. And if you asked Mira about it, she'd simply smile and say, "I didn't save a billionaire. I found my heart." And Daniel? He'd tell you the crash didn't break him. It freed him. Sometimes, it takes falling from the sky to find where you truly belong. Would you like this story turned into a narrated script or audiobook style format?